Good morning and welcome to our latest introductory webinar from Ascarii with regards to solutions based on SAP Business One. Shortly, I'll give a very short presentation and then we'll dive straight into the product and give you an overview of the look and feel of the solution. And for all attendees registered today, on your panel, you should be able to actually notify me if you have any questions or want to raise a hand. More than happy to answer those during the actual presentation or at the end. So please make it as interactive as you'd like it to be. And I will now begin the presentation for you. Right, so as I say, today is all about an introduction to SAP Business One. So you know, I'm Alan Hughes, I'm the Solutions Director here at Ascarii, and I run the commercial elements of the business. And from our perspective and the way we work is we are always about trying to find you the best solution as your business needs. And if that means that the solutions that we have in mind aren't right for you, we'll tell you. That's the relationship we want. We want a relationship built on trust and honesty, and really to make sure you get what you need and not what we want to sell to you. Most important thing is keeping you happy for a customer as a long-term customer. And that's only done by having a really good working relationship with together. So that's what we look to try and do. So just a little introduction. Ascarii's been going since 2013. We were a gold partner of SAP Business One with SAP within 6 months of trading. And our history is that the owner of the business, Stuart Wilson, is very experienced in the world of SAP. Used to be a global IT director for some very large organizations that ran SAP. And also he started Ascarii with Business One in mind in 2013 with regards to setting out as being a cloud-first thinking organization. So approximately 97% of all our customer base are on our purpose-built cloud platform on Amazon Web Services. And most people are now asking for people to actually go into the cloud, and it's certainly a change. There are still certain locales which don't suit cloud well if you haven't got good broadband and things, but that is suddenly becoming a thing of the past for a lot of people. And from that, we've also got another side of the business called Cloud for Partners. So I don't know if you're aware, but there are about 850 SAP Business One partners globally, which gives us another market to go at, because most of those partners are not cloud specialists. They are traditional partners that would look to sell a solution where you buy the licenses only and they implement it on servers on your premises. A lot of modern businesses, especially when they're in multiple locations, in multiple countries even, are now looking for a cloud solution just to take away that headache of infrastructure and IT that goes with it. And this is really where our growth has come. So not only are we growing as a Business One partner in the UK and Ireland, we are also rapidly growing as a global provider of cloud services purpose-built for Business One on AWS in lots of areas of the world. And in fact, we now have a data center in Dublin, where we've always used the AWS center there. We now have one in Frankfurt, and we also now have one in America, with a future one to open up later in the Far East. Yet to be decided where. So that's who we are. So a lot of people say to me, well, why should we consider cloud? And it depends on who you are and where you've worked. I tend to find that a lot of the younger businesses that we talk to are expecting cloud nowadays. They don't really see the point of having things installed locally. So there's a cultural change towards that as younger people move into the business world. But progressively, and this has been made possible by the likes of Coca-Cola's and the big organizations out there who spent fortunes on moving to the cloud, they've now made it at a price point that's competitive for SMEs, and this is where we come in. So everything we talk about with regards to SAP Business One and the cloud is affordable for a growing SME. And we always do our best to try and make it as affordable as we can to fit in with where you sit and how you want to move and grow. So there's lots of demand for cloud. It always has a compelling total cost of ownership. So on-premise, if you just look at it at top level, on-premise sounds like it's cheaper than cloud. But when you actually look at, well, what happens when something goes wrong with your servers? Are you sharing your load? Because one of the benefits of our cloud platform is that historically databases always are very resource hungry. So if you put your database on an SAP Business One, as I'll explain as we go through this morning, is available on both a SQL database and a HANA database. HANA is an in-memory database that SAP have created themselves for the bigger products of SAP, but they realize there's competitive advantage to making it available for Business One as well. And it's also affordable for SMEs. So both of those databases, just because they are databases themselves, are resource hungry. So if you put your applications, you put your database all on one server, and you have all of your users logging into that server, because the databases are taking a lot of the resources, over time, that server slows down. And no matter how much resource you put into it, and how much more memory and hard drive space and all the good things that people have always done traditionally, it still keeps taking that resource. So what we've done with the cloud platform is that we've actually got the database installed on one set of servers, the applications installed on another, and the users are logging into presentation servers, which then connect to both of those. So in that way, neither SQL nor HANA are taking the resources away from your applications or your users logging in. And that way gives you a more positive and faster and more scalable solution. So really the total cost of ownership, when you look at things really in detail, cloud is certainly what most people are now gearing towards. And a good example of that is I mentioned that HANA is an in-memory database. So instead of having all your data installed on a hard drive, what it does is actually installs it in memory. It's sat in your memory on your server. So an example here is that if we looked at a business who wanted to buy SAP Business One on HANA, and they were sort of budgeting for the next 3 years, they'd have to buy a server, as you can see here, that's scalable for the next 3 years worth of data. But with the cloud, we can start off with where you are now, year 2, year 3. So you can see you can scale up. So you can actually ramp up the costs as your demand increases. And that's one way of saving money. And a lot of people are actually excited about that, because plainly buying hardware for the future is hard work, because hardware, as you know, servers go out of date every few months. They're replaced by something bigger and better. So this is the whole point of AWS and cloud, is they are always on the latest technology. You don't see the shifts in what they do behind the scenes, but you are always running on the latest tech. It's very flexible, very scalable. So from our initial build all the way through to support and our ongoing monitoring service, we know what's going on. We know how users are using the system. We can immediately identify problems before they arise. That's a real good plus point of cloud over on-premise. And it's also very predictable and flexible on billing. So typically we charge by the month. Some people we charge by quarter because that's what they prefer, but you're not spending a huge amount of money up front. That's the beauty of this. And that's why progressively more and more people, when they're buying SAP Business One from us as a new solution, are looking at monthly billing on a 3-year contract. And in that way, you can budget accordingly. You're not taking a lot of funds out of the business, and you know you've got the flexibility, because after that 3 years, it turns into a rolling 12-month contract, and you can up and down those licenses. Well, you can up the licenses whenever you wish, but you can downgrade the licenses should you need to within 3 months towards the end of each contract. If you buy the licenses, you can never downgrade. That's what you've got, and you'll be paying support on it forever. So it really is another way of buying into an SAP solution that may fit your business better. We'd obviously talk about that. It's very secure. As good and as secure as your premises are, they're not going to be as secure as an Amazon Web Services data center. They're tier 4, top security level. Governments, banks, military use these platforms. That will certainly protect you as a business, far better than having your own server room in your own premises. And this screen is really to do with the fact that if you are trading globally, and let's face it, Brexit has brought up this immediately for us. Anyone exporting or importing at the moment, with all the new custom forms and all the commodity codes and all the documents that need changing, just shows that compliance, no matter where you are in the world, is essential. And not only SAP are making sure Business One is compliant with all of the changes that is necessitated all around the world as legislation changes, but so is AWS. So for example, China is notoriously hard to get into, but AWS already have a pipe through their firewall. These are the sort of things that we can overcome technology problems by using these fantastic companies like AWS and SAP to help you grow further as a business. And then finally, just these are the countries we're in gold are the ones we are already working with. As you can see, the data centers are already highlighted. We're thinking India, but we might go a little more east as we open that fourth one over there. So this is the beauty of what we do. Cloud is scalable. On-premise is not as scalable. The choice is yours. We do not mind. We do have customers working with on-premise solutions for a variety of reasons, but just the vast majority of them want to go cloud. They don't want that headache anymore. So the good news is that's the end of my slideshow, because I'm not the greatest fan of PowerPoint. And what I wanted to show you now is SAP Business One itself. So what I've got on screen here is the latest version of SAP, which is version 10. And this is the HANA database. So currently I'm logged on as a manager of a demonstration company called OEC Computers. They sell computer bits and bobs, and it's just a demonstration database. But first and foremost, one of the nice things you get immediately are these sort of widgets, as they're called by SAP. I prefer KPIs and dashboards. People understand that terminology better. So straight away, I'm logged in as someone who deals with sales. So I've got a sales process. I can create a sales quote from this main screen, a sales order, send out a delivery, create an invoice. It's a nice, simple process. What we can also do is change the screen per user. So what we can do is if I'm more in finance and click OK, it rebuilds the screens to show something relevant to finance. So this search bar I don't need at the moment, so I'll just get rid of that. So straight away we can see that receivables are massively up, payables are up, whilst margin is up. Generally, if we're not being paid, the business is in trouble. And these processes we have here, we have one for financials, we have one for sales, we have one for purchasing, and we have one for stock control inventory. It's a way of driving the use of the system from your main screen without having to go into the hamburger over here and opening up the menu on the left hand side. Really powerful way of ensuring that people don't get lost in this menu structure. And I'll come back to that in a little while. So if you're in finance and you want to create a journal, you just click on journal and away you are into the system and you're straight into a journal entry. Likewise, if I wanted to come out of finances and I wanted to look at stock control or wanted to move these things around, I can actually create my own dashboards and KPIs, or I can move the screen around to suit my requirements. So straight away on here, as you can see, we've got a number of things. If I say, well, I actually want that over here, for example, I can move things around. And once I click tick, it would save it as for me individually on my screen. What I can also do is go to the plus button. And here you can see there's about 50 widgets, dashboards and KPIs and displays that come standard with SAP Business One in HANA. What you will also find are those processes I mentioned before, and I'll show you the stock one in a minute, but there's the inventory management one. But this is not what you're limited to. This is just what comes as standard. So you can switch any of these on or off. And once you're finished, you click back out and click tick, update my cockpit. I'll say yes. And there we are. We have a brand new cockpit, this time aimed at financials. But just so you see what they are, if I show you, just so you're aware, test is you can create your own screens. So you can have a mix. If you've got someone who deals with both sales and a bit of finance, or sales and purchasing, or stock and sales, you can mix and match the screens. So you can create your own. So I've got a test one here, but it's kept private. So it's not one we can select for public use yet within the business. But these four are. So if I click on inventory and go into that one there, you can see now this time it's all about stock. So we can see stock value's gone up, not good. Outbound stock value's gone up as well. Inbound's gone massively up. And you can just start seeing nice little charts and graphs of what you've got in stock. My recent updates are just the last few things I worked on the system. And the stock control system here is really good in Business One. So when SAP bought this product from a company in Israel in early 2000s, they released it as SAP Business One in 2003. And since then, it's gone from strength to strength. So it was always very good at financials. It's improved massively since then because it's now a global product. It's always been very good around stock control. And the reason being is that it was primarily designed to be working with distribution businesses to begin with, but it's grown into manufacturing. But we've got out and out finance businesses using the system as well. So it doesn't need to be a specific industry. There's so many customers using this in different sectors around the world. There's nearly 80,000 businesses now using Business One all around the world. So whether you're in Brazil, Argentina, United States, Mexico, Europe, or the Far East, it works with all of those areas. This is its strength. It's not just an American product. It's not just a European product. There's multiple languages in the system as standard. So if you had a factory in Poland and you're mainly based in the UK, the Polish logins would all be Polish language. That's the sort of thing we can do. But it's still the same system working with the same data, but just presenting it in the right way to the right users wherever they are. So straight away, things like warehouses we'll go into a little bit more detail afterwards. But the whole idea of these screens is to give you what you need. What we can do is switch on a number of things. I just want to go back to the sales or the finance one, actually. Let's go back to that. Now in here, we can see that it's just finance. So if I wanted to, there are some core things that I would say that most people will use on their main screen. And when I go to those, if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see there will be my recent updates, common functions, and messages and alerts. Now for me, those three, well, I know full well our customers use those in most cases. So if I save those on and update my cockpit, yes I do, in it goes. It's added those three to my main screen. And the reason being is it's going to show me now my common functions. So what I use most from that menu structure, I can put here. I do not have to go into the menu structure just to go straight into item master data or asset master data and so on. Messages and alerts are great because you can send messages to other people in the business through the system. Alerts are great as well because if you've got certain alerts set up, someone's changed a bank account, something needs approval, those sorts of things will pop up here. And my recent update shows the last few things I worked on in the system. Now that's great if you get called into a meeting or go on a phone call or go for lunch or go home and come back the next day, you can pick up where you were. So that's the whole idea of those. Those three are really important to me. They're just user-friendly and very popular apps on screen. Because it's HANA and in memory, you do get some other features as well. So things like cash flow forecasting is built in. It does have Excel integration. So when you go into cash flow forecasting, granted this is only demo data, so it's not going to have anything too meaningful in here, but you can see incomings and outgoing amounts and net levels. You can change the dates you're looking at. You can actually also set the configurations. You can say, right, what I'm going to measure, what criteria I'm going to set, and what certainty level. So if I click on the spanner here, I can say that, well, things like incoming and outgoing payments and cash accounts are king. They are absolutely going to affect how our cash flow is, but maybe a sales order won't. So you can play around with these that fits your business requirements, and then you click save and it will modify that. But you can still export to Excel. And I will stress that Business One is fully integrated with Excel. You can play with as much as you wish in Excel. And if you've got the user rights to do so, and you know it's safe, you can export data to Excel, manipulate it, and push it back into Business One. It's dangerous to give everyone that, but if you've got the right skill level and you know what you're doing, that's a great way of manipulating data, especially in finance, because quite simply, you'll never take Excel away from the finance department. So cash flow forecasting is built into the HANA version. There is something called Pervasive Analytics, which is quite simply KPIs and dashboards. So I touched on it before where there was pre-made ones. This is where we can teach you at Ascarii how to create your own KPIs, your own dashboards, or your own advanced dashboards, including things like customer 360s. So instead of creating one now, I'm going to show you one that's been made earlier, true Blue Peter style. So if I go in here and we go into a customer and supplier record, business partner master data, So the terminology is always slightly different with different systems you use, but a business partner in SAP terms is either a customer, a supplier, or a lead that can be converted to a customer. So it's just one bucket of information. So it's a form of CRM engine inbuilt into the ERP system. So straight away, if I go through to a particular Maxitech is who I'm looking for now. So straight away we can see that they're a customer, they're British, they're in the construction industry because that's what we've got them set up as. They deal with the British pound. This would normally say VAT number if you're in the UK, but I've got the American version switched on at the moment. So you can, if you use some of the add-ons that we utilize, like the Boyum world, in the Boyum pieces, like the B1 usability package, we can change things, we can add color, we can make fields mandatory, we can add fields, we can remove fields and tabs, we can really go to town on the customization of the whole system without bespoking it, and that's its success. That's why it's really useful. So straight away on here, you can see that for Maxitech, we've got a massive account balance, deliveries, orders, and opportunities open. The care pack and care pack value is really our support mechanism. These don't exist in SAP, but by looking at it, you think they do. That's the power of the usability package from Boyum. We've created those things in there, so we can analyze how our customers are using their care pack, and we can go into here and actually start logging when they've contacted us, what they've contacted us about, and so on, and what their balance of minutes are. So that's something that we just added in ourselves because we use Business One internally. We eat our own dog food. So straight away here on Maxitech, you can see that the general information is here, phone numbers and so on. We've got contact people, of which you can have multiple people. You can have multiple addresses, both billing to and shipping to. You've got your payment terms set up for that customer. You've got your payment run details. You've got your accounting details of where things are affected in your ledgers, in your nominal ledger. And then properties, remarks, and attachments are pretty consistent throughout the whole system. So if I click on properties, you can see that you can actually add things, and once you tick them, you can then start analysing and reporting on those things as well. Remarks is a mini notepad, and attachments is where you can attach files. So within Business One, you can attach files to the customer or supplier record, or you can attach it to a particular transaction. So it's very much a case of there's a lot of flexibility in there and what you can and can't do. What we also have down here, very importantly, is a button saying you can also. So if I click on this and go in here, you can see I can view a variety of things, but I can also create activities, service calls, opportunities, quotes and orders, invoices, credit memos, and so on. But we touched on that Customer 360 a moment ago. So if I click on Customer 360 for Maxitech, what it is now doing is loading in the data for Maxitech as a Customer 360 report. So straight away, things looking rosy. Sales are up, profits up, fantastic. And as we go through this, we start seeing progressively more red. And as you get to the last one on receivables, this is where the alert is. They're massively over their credit limit. They owe us a fortune. This business would not be able to transact. That's just far too much cash in aged debt. So, you know, the whole idea of this can then be pushed out as a report to people. And it's just a really good way of, you know, if you've got account managers or salespeople looking after certain accounts, it's a great way of them knowing a snapshot of exactly where things are. But this also works on apps. So there is a sales app and a service app for Business One, which works on both iOS and Android. So if any of your staff members go to visit a client or are on the road for any reason, they can still log in via the app on their phone or their iPad, for example, and actually get the information they want. And it's live. It's not a static piece of data. It is live. So that's great when you're in front of a customer and you're asking them to pay some debt. So, well, thank you for your new order for £1 million, but you owe 676,000. You need to pay that off, or at least a good chunk of it, before we'll even consider releasing this order. Those are the sort of conversations that you'll be able to have face to face. So within the main screen as well, before we go into here, there is one other thing I'd like to show you before we show you what's available in Business One, is that if I click on this magnifying glass, this is the executive search. Now, because this is in memory, nothing is installed on a hard drive. So if you go for the SQL version of Business One, it's installed on the hard drives and it will spool your hard drive to go and find things. It's not so much of a problem anymore as it used to be because we now have solid state drive availability. But the way that this works in here, so if I click on Bill, Bill, in my example here, is an employee or an ex-employee. He left the business last month. We don't know what the customer is. They're phoning up about a return he did a while ago. We don't know anything about it because Bill dealt with it. So straight away, when I type in Bill, it comes up like a Google search of your entire SAP Business One database. And it's found him 3 times in master data. So he's in as an account manager of this customer. He's in the chart of accounts, likely to be under salaries. He's in the employee master data for obvious reasons. He's also been involved in 529 transactions of various types, including 1 return. So if I click on the return, straight away it shows me what the return was. It's closed, and it was to do with microchips. If I hover the mouse above it, it even shows me what the products were that were returned. So a very powerful thing to use, especially when you're talking to customers, suppliers, on the phone, or even your manager. It's a great way of actually getting the data really quickly without having to print anything off. This is very, very popular. So with regards to the actual menu structure here on the left-hand side, as you can see, I have a spanner here. If I click on that, I can say what is viewable and what is not. So simply switching everything on, because unlike a lot of systems out there, Business One is not sold in a modular method. You get everything. You just cherry pick the bits that are useful for each individual. And you can either have a professional or a limited license, which I'm more than happy to explain after today's meeting if you wish to do so. So in here, I can say, right, okay, well, if they're only involved in financials, we'll switch off everything else. Not really banking on, but we can switch everything else off, just those for examples, and update. And you can now see that this person in financials has a much smaller menu to look at. Granted, for the demonstration purposes, we want it all there, so I'll switch it all back on. But as I say, I'm currently logged on as a system administrator, so I've got administration as an option. And this is one of the things with Business One, is it is a multi-company solution out of the box. As long as the companies are affiliated, you can have as many on here as you wish. One of our customers, they're not that big a user of SAP Business One. They've only got 10 users, but they run 52 separate companies in the same license. So that just shows there is no limitation. You can have as many companies on there as you wish. You can also, I'll show you the web client in a little while. You can set exchange rates if you're trading abroad. You can set up various things within the system, including approval processes, workflow, and alerts management. But typically, this is only administrators that would see this. That just wouldn't appear on your screen. From a financial perspective, SAP Business One is a very strong, has a strong chart of account structure, which you can change and modify. It's got everything you'd expect from a financial system, including a fixed asset register. So if you are dealing with a lot of fixed assets and you want to start automating the depreciation and setting your own rules for that, you can do so. And of course, there are budgets in here as well, so you can start setting up budgets for various departments and so on. All of the financial reports you'd expect, your TBs, everything else you'd expect is in there. So financials is completely covered. It's approved by the ICAEW in England and Wales. It works. It's a good financial system, and it's always been the rock that the whole system is based upon. CRM is actually an amalgamation of things from various modules in here. So you can see activities, campaigns, opportunities, quotes, orders, the customer 360 we just looked at, and CRM reporting as well. So it does have a form of CRM. If you don't have CRM, this is more than good enough to give you what you need, because everything's in one bucket. So you've got all the reporting from one source of truth. If you're more experienced with CRM and you're already using the likes of HubSpot or Salesforce or something akin to that, we have integrated Business One with those systems. So we've done that with numerous customers, and we have referenceability on that. So this is where you're not limited by what the CRM engine is in your ERP system. If you prefer Salesforce or HubSpot, carry on using them, and we'll integrate this great system. The truth behind what's in CRM, so all stock and financials are all in the ERP system, but they're feeding the CRM system. And CRM is feeding SAP Business One. So CRM's built in, opportunity management's in there. So if you are dealing with a variety of different opportunities and you want to class them in certain sections, so qualify, ongoing, quotation, negotiation, win, loss, that sort of thing, you can set all of those up What we can also do is like sales, for example. So it has the concept of sales blanket agreements, as does purchasing for purchasing blanket agreements. So if you say to a customer and they agree to buy 1,000 of a specific item over a year but want to call it off, that's an example of a blanket agreement. Likewise, it's the reverse for purchasing. So the concept is there. You can use it if you wish. Creating quotes is easy enough. If I go into quote, I'll choose Maxitech. There we are. Choose. In it goes. Maxitech goes in. So straight away it knows the posting date is today. It's valid for a month because that's what we've got set up. The airplane on ground is not part of SAP Business One. Again, that's part of the B1 usability package from Boyum. We sold a solution to a company last year that deal with, well, they need to know when an airplane is on the ground because the components they sell are more urgently needed. So those take priority over one that's still flying, and they sell all this sort of equipment. So in here, we would just choose what products we're going to deal with. So I'm going to say it's an office printer as a quote. Straight away, because it's Maxitech, it understands what the price is, what the discount structure is. You can have pricing groups, discount groups. You can set them up specific customers. You can put them into groups of customers, depending on whether you think they're gold, silver, bronze customers. Those sorts of things you can do. So with regards to, if I just quickly put in a total of, say, 10 here, you can see it does all the adding for you and things. It can put discounts in at line level or at the whole quote level. If I'm happy with that, I'll click Add a New. Okay, it's done something there. Someone's been playing with our Boyum system, so that's not an error. But if I just go back into sales quote and just go to that last one, you can see that's where that quote is. I can now copy that to a sales order. It's telling me they've gone over their credit limit. Do you want to continue? Now that can either be an advisory, as it is here, or it could stop that person from processing the order, or you can process the order, but it would immediately be on hold and the user would be told that to tell the customer too. So I'll say yes. So in it goes. Now this is a sales order relating to that quote. In here now we can say what our delivery date is. So I'm going to say it's today, and there are shortcuts, as you saw. T is for today. So in it goes. I am happy with that. Add and view. Gives me the warning on the credit limit. It will each time because they are so badly over their credit limit, because I never actually get any of the invoices paid. So the sales order is now on there confirmed as well with the quote. If I now copy that to a delivery, and again, just pass the credit control piece, and I'm going to add and view that. Yes, I do. I've now delivered those items. You can part deliver as well, by the way. So in here, from here, I can then copy from that delivery. I can do a return. I won't at this point, but I'll go straight to an AR invoice. In here, in it goes. I'm going to add and view that. So it's telling me the following fields are mandatory. Customer reference number. It needs a reference because that's how this system is set up. So if I'm happy with that, put the reference in it goes. Now that's great. We've taken a quote all the way through to invoice. But if I right click on this screen and go to relationship map, you can see the link between all of those 4 documents. And anything with a padlock shows that that document is closed. In this case, we haven't been paid yet, so it's still open. But if I double click on any one of these, it brings up that document. This is really powerful when you're talking to people on the phone and you need information quickly. They can give you the reference and you can click on right click, go to relationship map, and it will show you every single quote, sales order, delivery, return, invoice, all in one place. Really, really powerful. Very popular. Used a lot by our customers. So that's how simple it is to actually process through there. But just to give you a heads up of what else is available, because some of you will be in different industries that are on our webinar today. So as well as sales and purchasing and dealing with customers and suppliers, we've got the ability to link your bank. You can upload your electronic statements and do your reconciliation on the back of that, set to your own rules. So if you say if a transaction is within 50p or £1, just push it through. You may be more fussy. You might actually say, right, if it's not exactly the amount we expect, highlight it. But you are managing by exception. You're not doing all the mundane yourself. Stock control, as I say, is a big part of Business One. So if you are holding any stock, when we go into stock items, so let's go into something like we'd all recognize, like a printer. There we go. There's an office printer. So straight away, we know the manufacturer, we know how it's shipped. And by the way, we can integrate Business One with any number of courier services if you wish. In here, we can see what the purchasing data is, so who our preferred supplier is. As I said, mine is switched on to the American version for some reason at the moment. So in it goes there, but you can buy from various suppliers. If your product is something that is easily bought from other people, if you're just a distribution business, for example, you may want to give it your own catalog number and show behind the scenes what the manufacturer catalog number is. So when people get your quote, they can't go into Google, type that code in and get a cheaper price from Joe Bloggs up the road. I've got all your units to measure of how you buy it. You can have lengths, factors, whatever you wish to record on the main screen. Sales data is exactly the same, but your sales unit of measure could be very different to what you purchase it in. So you may purchase in a pallet, stock in batches of 12, but you could also sell in eaches. It's entirely your choice. So again, you can record information relevant to that. But the stock data, the inventory data tab is important because this shows that this system is a multiple warehouse solution as an option. Now, these can either be real warehouses or virtual warehouses. So in here, we can actually see that for this printer, we've got 1,007 in stock in general and 30 in the backup warehouse. There's 3 committed. There's another 739 on order. So available to sell is 1,743. So nice and simple. Shoes is one we've put in recently for another demonstration where we are dealing with someone who imports and sells shoes. So it just goes to show, shoes does not exist in Business One, but it's very easy, and you would not guess that this wasn't part of standard Business One in your actual usage as an end user. But planning data is important. So in here, there is the concept of something called MRP, Materials Resource Planning in Business One. And MRP is effectively a big calculator. So historically, people, before they had something like MRP, would write down how many they've got in stock now. They'd calculate how many they think they might need for all the orders that are coming in, what they might think they might need for future orders, and what's already currently on order, and then try and work out, well, how much do we need to buy? And that, when it's a manual process, is quite time consuming. So with the MRP engine being the calculator, it does all the grunt work and then allows you to make the final decision on, do you agree to buy these items or not? And plainly, you're not always going to buy them. Computers won't know that last year was a glorious summer, so lots of ice cream was sold. But this year it's pouring with rain, there's going to be less. You want to buy less ice cream is a classic example of what MRP will spit out at you as an end result. But you, as the decision maker, as the human, will then make the decision on whether you agree with that or not before any orders are placed. Production data, if you are producing anything, there is the concept of either manually updating items when you've manufactured them, or you can use a term called backflush. Now, all backflush means is that if you are making a box and it takes a certain amount of wood and it takes a certain amount of nails to make that box, the system knows that in the bills of materials against that size of box, so it would downgrade the stock items by the amount that you've used to create that box. Where backflush doesn't work is if you have a process where you're creating a lot of waste. If you're creating a lot of waste, you'd probably want to do some manual updates because you want to enter the waste elements too. But this is where add-on solutions around manufacturing and other areas of the business really enhance Business One even further. Because again, Boyum, who I mentioned, they are a global supplier of add-on solutions for Business One, and they do manufacturing solutions, whether it be cloud-based or full-blown big manufacturing requirements around MRP and 2, that is, and all the other things that manufacturers need. But they've also got the usability package. They've got print and delivery for sending out documents in your formats, in the way you want to send them electronically, much more easily. They've got warehouse management solutions, amongst others that we could talk to you about. You really can start with the core of SAP Business One and grow. You don't have to do it all at once. This is the whole beauty of this, is it's something you can phase in, and by phasing it in, you get better user uptake of the system. Properties, remarks, and attachments is the same as I said before. If I just show you here things like UDF, that's a user-defined field. So we can create whatever we want here. But with the B1 usability package, we can also move it from here onto the main screen, so it appears to be standard. Well, we also have our analytics. I don't think there'll be any analytics for this particular thing now. There is no dashboard, but we can have little dashboards linked to this. Or if we're in sales and they were buying an office printer, it could come up here on the right hand side saying, if you're buying this printer, do you want to buy some cartridges or some paper? It would make suggestions. That's the sort of thing it can do, again, depending on your style of business and who the user is. Sales item master data, it does understand the concept of barcodes, but it doesn't. SAP Business One doesn't naturally have a barcode solution for scanning. So that's where we deal with the BOIM solutions like Progimex or Progimex Scan or ISAP scanning that we've got a number of customers using that's highly configurable and works with old iPhones. Really nice and simple interface, and it works a treat. So we've got various WMS solutions that can plug into Business One and add those scanning requirements throughout the warehouse or production. It understands bin locations, various locations in various warehouses. The whole lot is completely covered. It's really strong on this. We've got multiple price lists. We've got pick and pack for getting everything together, ready to get out the door. And as I touched on before, if you want to integrate to your couriers that you use, we can integrate systems where their system is updating where your customers' products are. Those are the sorts of things we can do. But as well as inventory, there's resources. Now, that's typically either people or machinery that you can start actually working out costs. And if you're recording time against them, you're then getting actual real costs, not only of the actual purchase price of the product you're using to manipulate and send out again, you're actually capturing real time, and then you can start getting a much more granular report on what your true costs are throughout your business. Production is in there as well, so we've got bills of materials. You can create production orders, you can receipt from production and issue. It's got a lot of things in here, which is more than enough for a lot of manufacturing businesses. Some manufacturing businesses want more, and we have solutions with more functionality. Some find this is perfectly acceptable for their requirements, and especially when you enhance it with the likes of BOIM Cloud for shop floor data collection, for creation of bills of materials outside of Business One, so they don't need a Business One license for those people. And as of the next couple of weeks, a brand new quality control module called Inspect. These things are all just plugged directly into Business One and work. They're really powerful. More than happy to arrange to show that to anyone who wants to see that after today's meeting. MRP, as I touched on before, is just a big calculator. So you've got an MRP wizard, you take it through, click, 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 and it tells you what you need to buy to make sure you fulfill the orders that you've got and what you think you're going to get. Service is just that. So it has inbuilt some sort of service element. So you can actually store equipment cards, you can set up service contracts. It utilizes the same CRM engine as sales people and credit control people. So you can actually say, right, well, if you've got a 3-year service contract, 3 months before the end of it, it'll automatically send out a reminder, would you like to renew for another year or another 3 years? These are the sort of things we can do. We also can build up a solutions knowledge base if you are a company that offers a support facility. So service is taken care of, including the fact that there is an app that comes standard with Business One. And if that doesn't fit your requirements, there are other options as well for mobile device applications for service people. HR is just that. It's a nice simple HR solution where you can record employee master data, you can enter timesheets, and it also links to project management. So in projects, if I go into projects here and go into an example project, you can see that this one is for Maxitech. It's external as opposed to an internal company project. It's installing a new server. So here we would set up our times, what the stages are, what our planned costs are, and so on. We can have open issues, we can have attachments, and so on. And the summary would actually show us what our budgets are. We can start doing budget against actual analysis. And so that's a really powerful way of doing it. But if you're recording time in timesheets, this will populate into your projects and bring those costs across as well. So there's a lot to Business One. But the beauty is that you don't actually have to bamboozle users with everything. We switch on the bits that are relevant to their job function. We help you as Ascarii in helping you prepare for go live. And then after we've helped you go live, after your first month end, you're then supported fully by our support team. So that's a brief introduction to SAP Business One. With version 10 here, as we have now, we also have what is known as the web client. So this is why I've already clicked the button before. if I log in as me on the same demonstration company and log in, oh, it's not working. Someone switched it off. They can't show it to you today. But the whole point of the web client is it only works with sales currently, but it's being developed further. So with regards to the way it's going, sales, I think finance is next, then purchasing, and then stock control. So they're bringing that out, and that's effectively it's the start. What they've done with version 10 is they've completely rewritten Business One to work in a web client. And once that gets to that stage, that's how it's probably going to be mainly used by people in the future, is via the web client. But until then, it's a bit of a mix and match. But it's still the most popular ERP solution in the world for an SME, and growing SMEs get massive benefit from this. So are there any questions from today's meeting? I'm just looking to see if anyone's asked one. No one has. If that's the case, I would like to thank you all for your time and attending, and I will be making this available as a video. So if you would like to see it, it will be on our social media fairly shortly afterwards. And from a prospect from there, we will be in touch. And if you'd like to have a more detailed presentation, something maybe aimed at your specific business, more than happy to do so. Look forward to speaking to you again in the future. Thanks again. Bye-bye.